All right, Grace, thank you for coming on. I thought it would be good for you and I to kind of get a bit of FaceTime and be able to share this out to our audiences and really just give them a little bit of an insight to both you and myself and the retreat, what that's kind of going to entail, just to the higher level, kind of go over some of the things we're looking at offering, maybe going into what brought you and I to this point and even perhaps like a little bit of some of the obstacles we've overcome. So going on from that, maybe we can start with what brought you into Wise Serpent Group and its offerings, and yeah, kind of what brought you to this moment.
Yeah, no worries. Jez, that's a open-ended question, but to give a brief, overview of, by the way, very excited to be doing this with you. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, kind of the roads that led to Wise Serpent Group being created was kind of to scratch my own itch. I was brought up in the Christian church, and everything's kind of seemed to be presented very similarly. And there's spirituality, but also there's a lot of dogma, and there's a lot of straightforward rules. And as an artist, all my youth leaders, so I had youth leaders employed in the church, but all the youth leaders were Christians that were actually out and about playing in bands, playing in secular events, and doing really well in the world of entertainment. So White Serpent, it was kind of just a way to take my favorite things and have a platform that had some brand consistency to it. So it's music, art, wisdom. I'm a multi-instrumentalist as a musician and a songwriter. So there's music, and the art is the way of life and the way about doing things and design and stuff like this. And wisdom is about tying everything together. And it's also, integrating the teachings of Jesus in a new way for me to kind of express that heartbeat in a way that I haven't seen really done in Australia so far. And just kind of playing it as it goes, making it up as we go along, but at least we got brand consistency along the way. That was the idea. So our catchphrase is the art of rebirth, and we'll be talking about that more and more as we go on, and on the island as well. The art of rebirth, what does that mean? But really, it's the hero's journey. It's like our way of saying the hero's journey, and that kind of is played out through music, art, and wisdom. We say we're exploring the art of rebirth, the beauty of transformation through music, art, and wisdom. That's our main kind of thing at Wise Serpent. Of course, we've got a heaps heavy youth focus as well, with youth suicide being number one cause of death in Australia. I wanted to do something about it. I lost a cousin of mine when I was in grade 6, and she was only 14. And when I heard the statistic that it was the leading cause of death for young people in Australia, I didn't actually know that until 5 years ago. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, well, I've only just heard of this, even though I was affected, and so many people are obviously affected, but we don't realize how serious it was. It kind of sobered me up and kind of made me kind of wake up a little bit more myself. So I kind of wanted to make Wise Serpent kind of, and that's the Wise Serpent dream kind of is feeling that
Deeper
void.
meaning. Yeah,
pointing to that. We've got a kind of a youth mission and vision there, creating a positive shift in Australian youth culture through music, art, wisdom. That's our kind of a youth vision and mission. And we're launching in November alongside our retreat. Wise Serpent Fest will be kind of the online version of, or the festival on the cloud, music, art, and wisdom, happening online, hosted at Kangaroo Island. And of course, we'll be doing the Roaring Fire retreat together on the ground to ground things out. So there's a little bit about my background and how I came to be where I'm at and why I created Wise Serpent. And yeah, a little
Beautiful.
bit of background.
Thanks, brother. Yeah. And like, I always love the 111s. I've got that in my the triad. Like, so I definitely think, yeah, music, art, wisdom, like it really is a resonance with the projection of like what I've seen of Wise Serpent. You can definitely see, it fitting with those three streams, and also like really getting that artist vibe coming through. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting using the religious background to bring Jesus's teachings in a, a bit more of a new form, because I definitely have seen, I'm more spiritual in my own persuasion, but my spirituality comes from looking at the truth in all things, not just religion, but that's where it started. And, that took me to Buddhism, Christianity, um, anywhere that, I could see that there was truth. And like you said, once you get away from the dogmatic aspects of religion and you take the core truth, there is some value there that can actually help people. So, yeah. And, at the end of the
yeah,
day, when you
yeah,
actually look at the truth in many different things, there is overlap. And yeah, there's just different
yeah,
ways of speaking a truth that, is going to be relevant to one person and maybe not to another. But that's the old adage that, there's many ways to God as there are people. And, even God has become a bit of a loaded concept,
yeah,
but
for sure.
doesn't mean source, universe, whatever we like to use these days.
Yeah, I think that's
And
it's all
so,
packaging, isn't it? It's all packaging of the main message, which is love, and yeah. So um, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's something that's talking about overlapping. It's something that we've kind of overlapped in and kind of met each other through, I guess, spiritual practice, breath work, locally on the beach. Um, so that's yeah, very relevant. And yeah, I don't know how you wanted to do this, Jez. With I know you're like hosting the call, but also we want people to know about chi coaching as well. So maybe we can swap
yeah,
it back to you. That's
yeah,
your
100%.
gym.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So, chi coaching came about after basically I went through my own health battles for pretty much the last 10 years. My health was deteriorating from about 22 years old. I found myself not able to keep up with friends. I came from a bit more of a like strong party background back in the day. And yeah, I definitely wasn't able to keep up with friends. And I was working in like, office work requiring cognitive function. And I was starting to feel that, my health was declining despite me doing increasingly more for my health. And that really hit a all-time low of in 2018, when I really started to have some debilitation of my health. And by 2019, I was pretty much bedbound. Like, I'd be able to get up and make some food, but I felt like an 80-year-old just trying to just like walk so slowly. And I'd make food and then it would just like wipe me out and I'd go have to lay down for 4 hours. But despite seeing, so many different doctors, I really was not getting answers. Like, I spent, so much money trying to investigate my health, ranging from general practitioner doctors, functional medical doctors, even sent for so many blood tests, endocrinologist as a specialist who, basically looked at me and went, nothing's wrong with your hormones. And so there was this real defeatist feeling coming from conventional medicine, that there was something that I was affecting me, but I was not getting any answers. And, this is taking course over about 6 months. And when when you're losing your ability to do what someone at the time under 30 should be able to do, like I was, yeah, pretty much staying at home all the time, except for maybe going out and doing some shopping, which would absolutely tax me. Also, trying to eat a really low inflammatory diet. I wasn't eating sugar. I wasn't eating, any fried inflammatory foods. So I was kind of doing a lot of things right, but still being affected. And I'm actually quite grateful for this journey, because it wasn't until removing some amalgam fillings which have mercury that were leaching into my system unbeknownst to me. But what led up to that was me going so deep down to the rabbit hole of health and learning all the different practices that could be done to improve one's health. It really set me up for a good place to help others. And where chi coaching, the name, came about, it wasn't until I actually went one way to Southeast Asia. So during this bedbound phase, I really wasn't tolerating the cold. And I was trying, like Wim Hof kind of style cold exposure, not ice baths, but I was having a cold shower at 6 a.m. and at 11 p.m. Some days when it was 0 degrees overnight. And I'm just like getting in and just using discipline just to do it. And, hoping that's going to create brown fat cells, which are going to create more of a thermogenic effect. However, I didn't have the internal chi energy, the fire, to really sustain that. And at the time during the day, like I had no thermal energy, to the point where I was wearing like 4 pairs of socks, 4 trackies, 4 jumpers, and just walking around like an absolute marshmallow. And knocking things off the photos off desks. No. But basically, I I realized that it was May, and I was like, I am not going to handle winter. And I was pretty much down to like very minimal money compared to where I was at the year before. And I realized it was going to be best for me to just go to a warmer climate. I'd been to Thailand once before and knew that, yeah, it would probably be the best decision. So I ended up selling everything that I had, motorbike and whatever I could sell, and to actually be able to fund myself one way to Southeast Asia to avoid winter. And the intention was just to see how long I could go. And yeah, when I got over there, I realized travel is something that's really beneficial for me. By about 3 months in, through yoga, listening to the power of now, and applying a lot of the practices to look at one's ego, meditating, and even staying with some Buddhist nuns for a while, I found my internal chi come back to me. And I realized that I wanted to continue traveling. So I was like, how can I help others with what tools I have? And as I look back over my life, I realized how much I had come from 10 years ago. And so really I saw the transformation in that moment that I'd been through, because that process forced me to look at where I had come from to where I was. And I realized that there was something there that I could help others with. So that was nearly 4 years ago now, 3.5 or so. And yeah, it's really set me in this trajectory of being of service to others and seeing how I can use my life's experience and the resulting wisdom to really help others shortcut their own journeys of health, or at least not have to go the difficult path that I did, or to the depths of which. And so that's where I've really focused on the PT, yoga, and coaching as kind of like that three-pronged approach that covers body, mind, and spirit. And yeah, that's basically where chi coaching has come from.
Yeah, nice. It's a great story of overcoming and becoming. Yeah, it's great. Even some stuff in there that I wasn't aware of, so that was good. I appreciate it.
Welcome, brother. So maybe we can go over a little bit of what we're looking to offer at the retreat. So
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so we're gonna have. We'll just go through it as a high level thing, and then we can dip into whatever comes up. So yoga, meditation, nature walks, workshops, group coaching, one-on-one coaching, lifestyle design, the Roaring Fire ceremony, and of course, at our KI accommodation, we've booked and including ferry and meals. So yoga is going to be covered by my end, of course, and I think the types of yoga I was looking at offering would be probably a bit of vinyasa, which is more of a flowing style. I'll supply the mats, and then that would be more in an early, like morning or midday, aimed at raising some energy, and probably throughout the day, just to create like a little bit of awareness with the body and allowing, yeah, us to kind of relax into and balance energy. And then in the evenings, probably looking at more of a yin yoga nidra style approach where things will be a bit slower and winding down for the evening, kind of creating a more parasympathetic activation for a good night's rest. Then going into the meditation, planning on probably having, a few set sessions that are longer in duration, but maybe throughout the the flow of the event, we can do like a few ad hoc meditations as well. The nature walks, how were you envisioning that? Like we'd probably do one or two that would be towards the beach, if
Yeah,
possible,
that's
weather
right.
permitting.
Yeah, exactly. We want to have a good balance of in-group activity, but also one-on-one personal takeaways, but also personal time and reflection. We've also got content creation as well because it ties into the online festival. So I'll actually be live streaming every day. Website for White Serpent Fest as well. So there's going to be a few different. We've got structure for it, but there is going to be some space for people to be able to be themselves, and but also structure to be able to feel like there is a pathway, and there is an art of rebirth intent. With the Roaring Fire ceremony at the end, to kind of go through a transformation together. So yeah, the nature walks I think would be really, really good to kind of open ourselves up and really connect to nature. And you can do some freestyle meditation and yoga, while we're in new locations as well. It's very much a get to, not a have to kind of feel. But we want to make sure that there's plenty of opportunities for people to awaken using these different kind of techniques that we've both discovered. And I think, it sounds good because I'm particularly, I love movement, but disciplined yoga, I haven't myself had much experience with that. So I'm looking forward to trialing the different types of yoga and book. It sounds good to bookend the day. It's interesting. So I'm looking forward to that personally.
100%. And I think you touched on a good point that we'll be like flowing and intuitive in our approach, but also as both you and I have many tools to share, there will be a kind of logical structured flow that's not so tight that we'll be able to see what the moment calls for. And fortunately, doing it in a small group setting, that will really allow us to tailor the best experience for everyone coming. So I'm quite excited for that. The coaching side of things, yeah,
I was just going to say, who was it for? Do you like, we've talked about this, but just for anyone who's watching?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we were primarily thinking who would benefit would be aspiring content creators, people that are wanting to, yeah, create their own service-based offering, do content marketing, even people that perhaps want to not necessarily make a monetarily income from an offer, but do want to create content to share with others to help them. And both you and I, like I've been focusing on it for 3 years now, and you even longer. So both you and I have overcome some, major hurdles that are blocks on this road. So, like I'm still early on the road. I'm not a six-figure coach or anything like that. Not that, I'd necessarily define that as success at this point in time, but I have
Right.
been committed to overcoming the blocks within myself that were stopping me from even putting a message out there. Like the first year when I had decided to do this, I kind of productively, I used productivity as procrastination by creating so much content, but not putting it out for anyone to even experience. So, you know, there was so much self-worth issues tied into it for me that I had to go through experiences, limiting beliefs, and really take a look at why I wasn't comfortable putting myself out there fully. And, that's a ongoing thing, but yeah, really leaning into the vulnerability. Again, I'm massively ahead of where I was 3 years ago. And I'm sure you've gone through your own trials.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember my first live stream being quite nervous for it, which is funny. Looking back now, I wouldn't think twice, but that's it. It is a process. You get comfortable with being in front of the camera, but yeah, I think that's kind of a similar avatar to ourselves, I suppose, that we're thinking that we might draw, and obviously we can help people in that regard, getting comfortable, putting their message out there. And also that's what the lifestyle design is about as well, isn't it? It's about making the decision and someone giving you permission as well, which doesn't often happen in the world. Of actually, you can design your dream life from here without the limitations of your now. You can kind of remove them and kind of reverse engineer where you want to get to. And those kind of roadblocks can be removed strategically in the process of doing that map. So, but you got to kind of think big, but it's an exciting opportunity to do that. And like I said, not everyone thinks big enough for their destiny and for what they could achieve in this world, and not taking into account their whole life, their whole life's work, and the why behind what they're doing. It's a great opportunity to go deeper on that on this retreat.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's going to be a pretty cool experience to be able to guide people through that, because like you said, there will be group coaching, but then also some one-on-one intertwined into the 2 days. And yeah, I think it's going to be really cool to be able to, both you and I have a lot to share in this space. So I'm sure whoever makes it there will get a lot of value from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And us ourselves as well, like for sure. Like this is our first retreat, right? So we are definitely excited to put as much value as we can into it. And we're also on the path. We're also continually transforming, and we've got goals that we're growing into as well. So we're on the path with you guys, whoever's thinking about coming.
Yeah,
we're on the path as well. And so, but having said that, we have both gone through our journeys thus far, and we'll be packing a lot of value in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff I wish I knew 10 years ago that could have shortcut a lot of frustration, and
and so maybe
encouraging words of self-worth, like you're saying.
And so maybe, like, for even someone that's listening now, but they're like, well, even if people aren't necessarily into the content side of things, the crux of it is about self-expression, about looking at one's self-worth, overcoming, like perception of others and, buying too much of their own validation from the external. Whereas what content creation teaches you is you have to be centered enough in your own certainty of self that it doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you, because that's just their opinion or their perception. But your own perception of yourself is so grounded in who you are at your depth that really anything external can't affect you too much.
Yeah, it's a great tool for that reason, self-learning tool. And yeah, but it is, even if someone wasn't interested in content creation, the whole thing is not centered around that, is it? It's just something that we have in common, probably with ourselves. We have in common, and it's helped us in our journey. So why not, make it a bit of a creators retreat? It's a great opportunity to create content on Kangaroo Island.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, your brand is definitely very creative, inspired. Like, I consider myself a creator as well. Not that, that's one of my offerings, but it's definitely creativity, and being a creator is important to me. I guess as well, touching from my side of things, the retreat would also be for people that do want to go deeper into health practices, whether that's, getting a little bit of a kickstart with health, offering the food that we are is going to be tasty and healthy. There's going to be, the yoga, the walking, meditation is going to be a great boost to anyone's health journey. And, the more things that they can be overlapping, the more they're going to get value from that. So again, if someone's ready to be coached, that's definitely a prerequisite for the retreat. Of course, with group and one-on-one, it could be, quite an intense experience, but obviously it's going to be as much as they want to get out of it. As far as like what it's being coached on, again, coming back to kind of those themes we talked about before, the self-worth, the full expression, the vulnerability, the groundedness in one's certainty of self, and also where they want to be in life and their lifestyle design, would be some things that would be congruent with what we're looking at offering.
Yeah, it's quite a good full circle kind of retreat. Looking at all the things involved, it's going to be a great opportunity to reset and relaunch into the new year, and find your flow, find your chi, get into the get some momentum going for what's really important in life, whether that be relationships or a side hustle or transitioning to a new kind of place of being. Whatever it is, everyone's on their own kind of pathway, but that's the beauty of it. And it'll be very beneficial. A great place to reset and rebirth on the Island of the Dead, which is the indigenous name for Kangaroo Island, which I discovered doing some research on the island. Leading up
fits very well with the art of rebirth.
It fit just so perfectly well that I was like, this has got to be the place. And it's kind of scratching my own itch again, because there was a number of years ago I wanted to go to Kangaroo Island and actually, build a recording studio over there. And, it was, there was a whole journey to that. There was an alternative universe that popped up in Port Adelaide for that kind of manifestation. I was living in a recording studio there, and within 6 months of that desire and that putting it on my vision board. But the Kangaroo Island kind of stuck with me. It kind of was like, maybe one day I'll get over there. My uncle actually lives there, funny enough. But yeah, never been there personally, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's just going to be just a really nice place for me personally, just to really get centered and look at things big picture, celebrate the launch of the brand, and also, you know, dive deep with you with the self work.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's nothing like a pattern disrupt, and something that I personally like to do in my life is take a health holiday, where if there's something in my life I'm looking at working on, usually around health, I take a holiday somewhere to work on that very thing in a place where I don't have any established patterns, where I can then create it how I want to, and then take that back to the environment that may be more challenging. And then, you know, you do that a number of times, and eventually you create the pattern that you want in your life.
Fantastic. Yeah, you've done recently, right? You've come back from a trip quite recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, another trip.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a little micro one. And so I think it would be fitting to round this call off with a little bit of a conversation about the Roaring Fire ceremony.
Yeah, for sure.
Just just one sec. I just want to wait for your internet to come back. Yeah, now it's good. All right, cool.
All right, yeah, we're back. Yeah, the Roaring Fire. The actually, I know it's a very common and probably ancient practice of putting a reset for people and writing things down and passing it through the flame. But I was inspired to do it. I hadn't heard of it before, or anything like that, or Burning Man or anything like that. I just I think it was 2014. I was just inspired to do it, and I ended up doing it with a couple of friends, and it was a very powerful experience. I mean, there was an angelic encounter. There was like full on physical manifestations happening. Like this guy was like being rocked around by this angel. At the time, it would seem quite out there, but I was there. These guys I know pretty well. They're not making it up. They're just, something was happening in the spiritual, in the unseen realm, that was affecting with our intent and doing this practice. There was something very powerful. We repeated it again later on, a couple of years later, still blocks, and you know, we're burning time.
Sorry, just start again from you repeated it a few years later, because you just cut out, I think, during the critical part there.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so we repeated it a few years later, and it was still quite powerful. Like, it was really powerful, and every time we've done it, I've only done it officially a couple of times, but that was the idea with this Roaring Fire ceremony, is to go through a process where it's of letting go and surrender, and seeing what comes back. Kind of, you know, gold is refined in fire 7 times, so it's going to be, you know, all about that intention of okay, yeah, even not just like I want to let go of this because it's not serving me anymore, but also the good things in life, I want to put them through the fire so that they're stronger, more purified, and that's the intention of the ceremony. And you know, it's not going to be too big or crazy a fire or anything, but it's the intention, it's the people, it's the feeling. And I know firsthand that it was quite impactful. So whether you've done it before or not, it'll be fantastic, and kind of the heartbeat of the retreat
Beautiful
on Kangaroo Island. And yeah, we're lucky that my friend, we had a fire the other night, actually, little side note, and he was like, you know, it's fire ban coming up in South Australia from the 1st of November. I was like, oh, really? We got the festival coming up, got the retreat coming up with the Roaring Fire. But I looked up, and Kangaroo Island is, of course, from the 1st of December. So we're all good to go with the flames of destiny. So nothing
Yeah.
getting in the way.
Perfect. All right, brother. Well, I think, yeah, it sounds pretty good. I'm pumped.
Um, should we mention about the accommodation, like in case people are wondering or expecting? I think we put this on the media that we put out already, but it's
Yeah, you're right.
a true blue, honest Australian kind of getaway house. It's kind of like, to be honest, one of the ugliest places we could have booked, but it's got some charm to it, and it's in a really good location. So we were kind of laughing at the bed covers they had on the stay, but
Yeah,
um,
twin share.
it's kind of perfect. Yeah, it's kind of perfect for this kind of first retreat, and makes it affordable for everyone too.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
and it does make the main thing, which is about the people, and
Yeah,
having a real laid back, stripped back place where it's just nice, bare bones kind of Australian feel. It's nice, kind of like little getaway house in
yeah,
Kangaroo Island. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
for those expecting a 5-star resort, it won't be it won't be the glamping
No,
kind of deal, but it
no.
will be a very grounded kind of family kind of feeling. Um, yeah, it'll be really, really good nonetheless.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, well summarized. And I think it's really a blessing to have that space that, yeah, will not be overbearing what the theme of the weekend is. And I'm sure, let's pretend you had like, a really uber high-end Airbnb that's like very lavish. The temptation to kind of like absorb that and like, just lounge about and absorb the opulence would probably take away a little bit from the and like if you look at the offerings we have there, like it is very grounded, so it makes sense that the
Yeah,
accommodation is matching with that.
yeah, it's just basic. It's basic. It's not hyper glamorous, and yeah, it makes the main thing, which is really, really important.
Yeah, and I think like um it'll allow, I really feel like the other parts of the retreat will shine quite brightly, my humble
Yeah,
opinion.
it's in a great location, and we're expecting some good times, some good weather, and some good wildlife. Um, so yeah, it'll be great to connect with nature and with each other.
100%. 100%. All right, brother. Well, thank you for sharing this time and, yeah, stepping into this path to offer this.
Yeah, I'm excited, mate. Yes, blessings to you, and yeah, looking forward to rocking it with Chi.
Yeah, 100%. All right, brother. Well, we'll be in contact soon. And for anyone that's watching and does want to find out more information about the retreat, you can contact either myself or Grace via our Instagram page, probably each of our own, Chi Coaching 111 or Wise Serpent.
Well, probably use my personal page, Grace Line Hunter.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
look up Grace Line Hunter, no hyphen on Instagram, or with a hyphen, doesn't matter, it'll come up.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And on Facebook.
Yeah, same deal on Facebook, and yeah. Also, if you got a copy of the fly, we've got our mobile numbers on there too. So
Yeah.
just give
Yeah.
us a bell. SMS us is probably the safest bet. So we definitely get it.
Yeah. And then we
Doesn't
could just
slip
kind
through the
of feel
cracks.
out, yeah, if it's the right fit for both sides, if you're going to get the most value out of the experience, and yeah, any other parts that you need to know to feel if it's right for you. So yes, see you, Grace, later on, and see you, viewer, hopefully at the retreat.